Larry, before we wrap up, I'd just like to talk about Gold Wars. You know, the Gold Money Foundation is going to be translating Gold Wars into different languages, and you very kindly agreed to write an introduction to these translations. I know you were very close to Ferdinand Lips, the author of the Gold Wars, and the Lips Foundation is quite excited about these translations. Can you tell us a little bit about the introduction and what you intend to do there?
Sure. Ferdy Lips was an early director, trustee of Fame, and I spent about 300 hours editing that book. It's a wonderful book. One of the things that I just reread it in anticipation of in preparation rather for the introduction. And one of the things that Ferdy Lips recognized early on is that if Switzerland started getting rid of its gold, and this is what this was about, that the Swiss banks would be vulnerable to what he called, his word, blackmail. And that's exactly what's happened.
That's how it's unfolded.
Yeah, but he was writing this in the year roughly 1999-2000. So he foresaw what was happening. The thrust of his book is really a moral argument. Really, if you want to have a free society, you need to have gold as money. And the reason is, without gold as money, property is really vulnerable to confiscation. I mean, you can't really protect your future payment.
Yeah. So the key theme is that gold and human liberty are interlinked.
That is the key theme. He spends a great deal in the book talking about the history of gold with Switzerland, how they changed the Constitution, rammed it down people's throats before they had a time to reevaluate. As you may know, Switzerland backed its Swiss franc with gold, but in 1992 it joined the International Monetary Fund. And the bylaws of the IMF prohibit member countries from linking their currencies to gold. And so then there was a big push in Switzerland to start to divest the gold. And the people who were behind that, of course, were the banks. Ferdy doesn't say it, but it's clear to me in retrospect that the banks must have seen the profits that the banks in the United States were making, and they wanted a piece of it. And if your currency is convertible into gold, it limits credit creation. I mean, this is the kind of thing that Ferdy was worried about. And he was also mindful that the manufacturers in Switzerland, because of the high value of the Swiss franc, it kept appreciating, that they were having trouble exporting. So there was a lot of pressure on the legislature to start dumping the gold. Ferdy was on a first-name basis with many of the legislators, not only in Switzerland, but also in Germany, and he hand-delivered copies of this book to these people to get them to shelve this business about selling the gold. But they sold it anyway.
Yes.
It's a wonderfully written book, and it gives you some real insights into the thinking of a guy who, he had his career in banking. He was one of the founders of the Rothschild banks in Switzerland, and he really knew this issue cold.
Yes, I knew Ferdy as well, and he did die very young, which is very unfortunate because we could use his brain power right now, given all of the uncertainties in the international monetary system, and particularly, what's happening in Switzerland today. So we'll look forward to those translations and your introduction, which will be coming soon.
It's another thing your folks should know about Ferdy Lips. In addition to this book, while he had his own bank, he had left the Rothschild bank after, I think, 20 or 30 years. He formed his own bank, and he instituted something called the Lips Prize in monetary science. And it was a 25,000 franc prize, and he actively promoted, gold as money. He really knocked himself out to do his part. He was a real patriot and a brilliant guy and a wonderful person.
I know I'd like to sort of wrap up by talking a little bit about Fame and what you've got on your website. I know you've got all kinds of content there. Are there particular, the stuff that we discussed, is all of this stuff available on the website?
No. As a matter of fact, I stopped updating the website a couple of years ago. I've spent all my time on television, and I do a weekly television show. I've been doing it every week now for roughly 6 years, and we're about to put up a website with a great deal of content. It's called gold.tv.
Oh, when's that going to be available?
Soon, I'd say within the next month or so. I mean, we've got all the content. It's really just the website design. I have that URL, gold.tv.
Gold.tv, so we should be watching for that.
I'll be sure to notify you so you can notify your people. And I've been giving a lot of in-person talks. I've given several hundred talks over the last several years. Several thousand people have seen this here. Many of them high up on the food chain.
Okay.
So far, they haven't done anything important, to help us, but the word is getting out.
How can we help Fame? You're a 501
It's a 501c3. Well, the obvious way is, you can...
Donations would be welcome.
Donations would be welcome. You can make a grant.
And fame.org would be the website.
Fame.org is the website, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, been talking with Dr. Lawrence Parks, an old friend of mine and head of FAME, Foundation for Advancement of Monetary Organization. Larry, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, James.
No, it's been great.